Let me start with a question that might shake you. What if the energy you carry isn't just sensitivity, but a force so rare, so magnetic, that it attracts both the broken and the dangerous? And what if Carl Jung himself left a hidden warning about people like you, the true empaths, those who don't just feel emotions, but absorb them, transform them, and carry them like sacred fire? For the next few minutes, don't just listen, feel. Because this might explain why your life has always been different. Why people are drawn to you, confess to you, or even try to use you. And why you, the empath, have always carried both the gift and the curse of your energy. But here's the part nobody talks about. Not all who call themselves empaths truly are. Jung would say that true empaths represent a rare archetype, a psychological and spiritual frequency that holds within it both healing and danger. He believed their sensitivity plugged them directly into the collective unconscious, the vast ocean of human memory and experience. And that connection is what makes them so powerful and so vulnerable. So let's dive into this hidden warning. Jung hinted at it through his writings on the wounded healer archetype. He observed that those who can heal others often do so because of their own deep wounds. True empaths then don't just feel, they transmute. They absorb pain like a sponge, but instead of drowning in it, they can turn it into wisdom, compassion, and even light. But wait until you hear this. Jung also cautioned that this energy is so magnetic that it attracts darkness. Narcissists, manipulators, even collective shadows, they are drawn to the empath because, unconsciously, they know the empath will carry what they cannot face. This is why, if you are a true empath, your life has probably been filled with more than your share of betrayals, heartbreaks, and emotional storms. Let me tell you a story to make this real. Imagine a child named Mara. From a young age, Mara could sense the emotions in a room before anyone spoke. When her parents argued, she felt it in her chest like a burning coal. When her teacher was stressed, Mara's stomach would twist in knots. People called her sensitive, sometimes as praise, sometimes as an insult. But what nobody realized was that Mara wasn't just noticing emotions, she was absorbing them. As she grew older, Mara became the one everyone leaned on. Friends poured their secrets into her, strangers felt safe confessing their pain, and even authority figures treated her like an anchor. But behind closed doors, Mara felt exhausted. She didn't understand why her body ached, why she carried emotions that weren't hers, why she felt like she was living more than one life at a time. Here's the shocking truth. Mara carried the rare energy of a true empath. And just like Jung warned, this gift was also her burden. Because for every person she healed, another person tried to drain her. For every moment of deep connection, another moment of betrayal followed. But here's the part nobody talks about. This rare energy is not random. Jung believed it has a purpose. The empath, in Jung's view, is a living bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, between the individual and the collective. They bring the unseen into the seen. They reveal truths that others hide, and sometimes they carry the pain of generations. Think about that. Have you ever felt emotions that didn't seem to belong to you? Have you ever carried sadness, rage, or fear with no clear origin? Jung would say that's because empaths are tapped into the ancestral memory of the psyche itself. You're not just feeling your life, you're feeling echoes of the past. But wait until you hear this next truth. Jung warned that if the empath doesn't learn to set boundaries, their gift will destroy them. He compared it to being possessed by archetypes, forces so powerful they can consume the individual. If you don't learn to channel the rare energy you carry, it can burn you from the inside out. That's why so many empaths struggle with fatigue, illness, or deep depression. It's not weakness, it's overload. Let's return to Mara. After years of giving, she reached her breaking point. She isolated, shut down, and stopped helping people. At first, she thought she had lost her gift. But slowly something shifted. She realized that her energy wasn't meant to be spilled everywhere, it was sacred. And once she treated it as sacred, her life began to change. She attracted fewer manipulators and more genuine souls. She began creating instead of only absorbing. And for the first time, she felt free. This is the hidden warning Jung left for empaths. If you don't honor the rare energy you carry, the world will exploit it. If you don't protect it, it will drain you. But if you learn to master it, that same energy becomes your superpower. So let me ask you directly, have you ever wondered why people are so drawn to you? Sometimes even strangers? Why you feel drained after certain conversations? Why you can sense things before they happen? That's not imagination. That's the signature of the rare energy only true empaths carry. And here's the part nobody talks about. The world needs this energy now more than ever. But the world will also fight against it because true empathy exposes illusions. It makes manipulation harder. It reveals the truth beneath appearances. And not everyone is ready to face that truth. We're just getting started. In the next part, I'll reveal why Jung linked this rare empath energy to ancient archetypes, and how history has shown us both the rise and the persecution of those who carried it. What you're about to hear may shock you. Let me ask you something unsettling. If the energy you carry as an empath is so rare, why does history show us that people like you have often been silenced, ridiculed, or even persecuted? Jung hinted at the answer when he spoke of archetypes. He believed that true empaths don't just exist as individuals, they embody an ancient role that cultures across time have both revered and feared. Think about it. Ancient shamans, prophets, healers, what made them different? They could feel and interpret energies others couldn't. They were bridges between worlds, carrying visions, insights, and truths that ordinary people couldn't access. They weren't just healers of individuals, they were guardians of the collective psyche. That's exactly the archetype Jung saw alive in true empaths. And this is where his hidden warning comes into play. But here's the part nobody talks about. Societies love healers until the healer's truth challenges power. Then the same society that once praised them turns on them. This is why so many mystics, visionaries, and prophets throughout history faced exile or persecution. Empathic energy threatens illusion. It sees through deception. And people who live by control and manipulation cannot stand in the presence of that kind of truth. Wait until you hear this. Jung believed that archetypes live inside all of us, but in some, they dominate. For true empaths, the archetype of the wounded healer or the seer becomes central. This archetype brings extraordinary gifts, insight, compassion, intuition, but it also brings immense trials. The empath is often forced to walk through pain that others never touch. They experience betrayal, abandonment, and psychic exhaustion not because they are weak, but because their role demands it. Let's bring this to life with a metaphor. Imagine a mirror that not only reflects light but absorbs it. Most people see only what's in front of them, but the empath mirror absorbs what's hidden behind the reflection, the unspoken fears, the buried traumas, the lies people tell themselves. This makes empaths powerful guides, but it also means they carry an unbearable weight unless they learn how to release it. Take Jung's own patients as an example. He noticed that those with highly empathic tendencies often reported dreams filled with archetypal imagery, floods, fires, journeys into caves. These weren't just personal dreams, they were messages from the collective unconscious, using the empath as a vessel. Jung warned that ignoring these dreams or dismissing them as mere imagination would cut a person off from their deeper purpose. But here's the shocking truth. Jung also cautioned that being too consumed by the archetype can lead to possession. That's when an empath loses themselves in the role of healer, savior, or rescuer, forgetting that they are also human. This is why so many empaths burn out, collapse, or end up entangled with narcissists. They become trapped in the archetype, living it out unconsciously instead of mastering it. Think about the myths of ancient Greece. The oracle at Delphi was revered for her visions, but she also lived a life of isolation and burden. The archetype of Cassandra, cursed to speak the truth but never be believed, mirrors the empath's struggle, feeling deeply, knowing deeply, but often being dismissed or ridiculed. Here's the part nobody talks about. Jung believed myths are not just stories, they are mirrors of our psychic realities. So when you read about Cassandra or the wounded healer Chiron, you're not just reading mythology, you're reading the psychic blueprint of the empath's journey. Now, let's make this personal. Have you ever spoken the truth to someone and watched them get angry, not because you were wrong, but because you were right? Have you ever seen through someone's mask and felt the tension when they realized you could see them? That's not coincidence. That's archetypal energy in action. That's the rare empathic energy Jung warned about. But wait until you hear this. Jung insisted that true individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires confronting not only our personal shadow, but also our archetypal destiny. For the empath, that means acknowledging, yes, I am different. Yes, I feel what others don't. And yes, this role is both my burden and my gift. Denying it leads to suffering. Owning it leads to transformation. Let's look at another story, this time from history. Think of Joan of Arc. Whether you view her as mystical or misunderstood, the truth is undeniable. She carried a rare energy that rallied people, exposed corruption, and terrified the powerful. She was both revered and condemned. Her story echoes Jung's warning. The empathic archetype shines a light so bright it often threatens the very structures that depend on shadow. Here's the paradox. True empaths carry the rare energy that heals, yet they often need healing themselves. They are the ones who can sit with another's pain without judgment, yet they often feel invisible in their own suffering. They are the ones who can expose deception, yet they are often accused of being too much or too sensitive. But this next truth will shock you. Jung believed that empaths are not only born but also forged. He noticed that many empaths emerge from childhoods filled with trauma, chaos, or neglect. Their heightened sensitivity was not just genetic, it was survival. By tuning into every subtle emotional cue, they learned how to stay safe. What began as adaptation became energy. And what began as pain became power. This means the rare energy you carry is not accidental. It's an inheritance of the soul. It's been shaped by your story, your ancestry, your trials. And that's why it's both so magnetic and so dangerous. So let me ask you again. Are you beginning to see why Jung's warning matters? Because if you don't recognize this archetypal role, you'll mistake your rare energy for a flaw. You'll see your sensitivity as weakness, your exhaustion as failure, your intuition as paranoia. But once you see it for what it is, a role that has existed in every culture, every myth, every generation, you realize you're not broken. You're carrying something ancient. And here's the part nobody talks about. Carrying this energy means you will always live at the edge. The edge between love and betrayal. The edge between truth and illusion. The edge between healing and being consumed. Jung knew this. That's why he left warnings hidden in his writings, to remind us that rare energy must be honored, or it will destroy the one who carries it. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how this energy interacts with narcissists, why the empath-narcissist bond is archetypal, and what Jung would say about breaking free from that destructive cycle. The truth may shock you. Have you ever wondered why some people seem drawn to you, almost like a moth to a flame, and not always for the right reasons? If you're a true empath, Jung would tell you this isn't coincidence. There is an archetypal magnetism at work, a force older than modern psychology, one that places you directly in the path of people who can either illuminate your power or drain it completely. And most empaths don't realize this until it's almost too late. Here's the part nobody talks about. Empaths and narcissists are archetypally drawn together, and Jung would describe this as the shadow dance of the psyche. The empath carries light and awareness, and the narcissist carries an unconscious darkness, a shadow they refuse to see. The empath's rare energy acts like a mirror, reflecting back the narcissist's deepest truths the narcissist wants to hide at all costs. Wait until you hear this. This is why the empath often feels drained or used. It's not because they are weak. It's because their energy is so rare, so potent, that it acts like a psychic amplifier. The narcissist, whether consciously or unconsciously, feeds off that light, absorbing what the empath gives freely. And here's the dangerous twist. The empath often doesn't know they are feeding a shadow, thinking they are simply helping or loving. Let me illustrate with a story. There was a man named Simon, a quiet, deeply sensitive empath. He instinctively understood people, always knowing what to say to calm conflict, ease pain, or inspire confidence. Then he met Lena, charismatic, magnetic, but secretly self-absorbed. Lena was the perfect storm for Simon's energy. She needed someone to mirror her emotions, validate her ego, and shield her from consequences. Simon, naturally empathetic, stepped into that role without hesitation. At first, it felt like a love story. Simon felt needed. Lena felt understood. But slowly, Simon noticed a pattern. The more he gave, the more exhausted he became, and the more Lena demanded. It was as if the more he healed her, the more her shadow grew. Simon was trapped in what Jung would call a classic projection cycle. He was absorbing Lena's unacknowledged darkness, believing it was his responsibility to fix it. But here's the part nobody talks about. True empaths are not just sensitive. They are psychic mirrors. They see what others cannot face. And when a narcissist sees themselves reflected, their rage, insecurity, or selfishness, it threatens them. The empath becomes a target, not because they are weak, but because they are too powerful. Their rare energy exposes illusions the narcissist has spent years carefully constructing. This next truth will shock you. Jung believed that the empath-narcissist dynamic is archetypal, not accidental. Across cultures and centuries, stories abound of the healer paired with the shadowed one, the sage drawn to the tyrant, the prophet paired with the deceiver. This pairing is not punishment. It is a psychic test. The empath is challenged to recognize the boundary between their energy and the energy of others, to see who deserves their light and who is merely trying to steal it. Simon finally reached his breaking point. He realized he had spent years pouring energy into a black hole, hoping Lena would change, hoping she would recognize the truth. And like so many empaths before him, he experienced deep exhaustion, confusion, and even guilt. But here's the transformative moment. He began to see that Lena's shadow was not his responsibility. He couldn't heal what she refused to face. His rare energy was meant to illuminate, not repair, and certainly not to be consumed. And here's where Jung's warning becomes crucial. Empaths must learn discernment. Your energy is precious. Your intuition is a weapon and a shield. But without boundaries, it can be used against you. And because your sensitivity allows you to feel deeply, the psychological attacks, subtle manipulations, emotional blackmail, gaslighting feel like physical blows. Only by understanding your archetypal role can you navigate this minefield safely. Let's pause here and consider the metaphor Jung might have used. Imagine your empathic energy as a crystal. Crystals refract light beautifully, but if someone tries to chip away at them or force them into another shape, they break. The rare energy you carry is the same. When used consciously and carefully, it illuminates, heals, and transforms. When absorbed or manipulated, it fractures, leaving you exhausted, depleted, and questioning your worth. But wait until you hear this. The empath doesn't just absorb narcissistic energy passively. There's an unconscious pattern. The empath often unconsciously seeks out people whose shadow complements their own unprocessed shadow. In other words, the encounters are lessons in disguise. You are drawn to individuals who reflect parts of yourself you haven't fully integrated. And the intensity of the relationship is a catalyst for transformation. Painful, yes, but necessary. Consider another example. A woman named Alara always found herself in relationships with emotionally unavailable men. Each time she gave more than she received, felt invisible, and eventually collapsed into heartbreak. It wasn't bad luck. It was her archetypal journey. Her rare empathic energy was testing her boundaries, teaching her discernment and challenging her to integrate her own shadow, her need to overgive, and avoid confrontation before she could engage with energy in a balanced way. This is the essence of Jung's hidden warning. The rare energy you carry is not a guarantee of easy life or harmonious relationships. It is a responsibility. And with responsibility comes danger, but also immense power. When the empath understands their role, when they learn to protect their energy, and when they integrate their shadow, they stop being a magnet for manipulation and become a force for profound transformation. And here's the final twist for today. not every empath survives this journey. Many burn out, fall into depression, or become disillusioned. Jung called this possession by the archetype, when the archetypal energy dominates without integration. The difference between collapse and transcendence is awareness, recognizing the rare energy you carry, respecting it, and learning to navigate both the light and the shadow is what transforms suffering into wisdom. So let me ask you this. Are you ready to see who truly deserves your energy? Are you willing to confront the shadows, both yours and those reflected by others? Because this next part will reveal how empaths can reclaim their energy, set boundaries without guilt, and step fully into the rare power Jung said only a few carry. Have you ever felt completely drained after a conversation, even if nothing bad happened? Have you ever left a room feeling like you'd been running a marathon, yet you were just sitting there listening? If so, you may be experiencing what Jung hinted at in his writings. The rare energy of the true empath isn't just sensitivity, it's a living, breathing psychic presence that absorbs the world around you. And if left unmanaged, it can overwhelm the very person who carries it. But here's the part nobody talks about. Most empaths think their exhaustion comes from being too emotional or too caring. The truth is far deeper. Your energy is constantly interacting with the energies of everyone around you. Narcissists, manipulators, and even well-meaning people unconsciously tap into it. If you don't have boundaries, your energy leaks into other shadows, leaving you depleted while they grow stronger. Wait until you hear this. Jung believed that energy is a form of psychic currency. The empath's rare energy is like gold, infinitely valuable, but if given away indiscriminately, it disappears. And this is exactly why true empaths often feel invisible, unappreciated, or drained. It's not because you're weak. It's because your energy is being spent without being replenished. Let's take an example. There's a woman named Leora. She was deeply empathic from childhood, noticing subtle changes in tone, posture, and expression. She would absorb anxiety from coworkers, sadness from friends, and tension from strangers in public spaces. Over time, she started feeling physically ill after emotional encounters. What Leora didn't realize was that she had no energetic boundaries. She was a conduit, taking in energy she had no intention or training to process. Jung would call this possession by the unconscious, not by an external force, but by the unprocessed shadows of others. The empath is like a psychic sponge. They can absorb the unseen suffering of the collective, but without self-protection, they risk breaking. And this is where the hidden warning becomes crucial. The empath must learn how to regulate, release, and redirect this rare energy. Here's the part nobody talks about. True empaths often fear selfishness. Saying no, setting boundaries, or withholding energy feels unnatural, almost wrong. But Jung believed that the integration of the shadow includes understanding that self-care is not selfishness. It's the foundation for sustainable empathy. You cannot pour from an empty cup, no matter how strong your gift is. Wait until you hear this. Empaths are not weak because they feel deeply. They are rare because their energy can transform entire rooms, groups, or even communities. But this transformation is a double-edged sword. If mismanaged, it attracts toxicity. If managed consciously, it creates profound influence and healing. Let's return to Leora. Once she recognized that her energy needed boundaries, she started experimenting. She would visualize a protective bubble around herself before entering stressful situations. She learned to consciously release emotions she absorbed, sometimes using journaling, meditation, or even physical movement. Gradually, she noticed a shift. People were still drawn to her, but she no longer felt drained. Her rare energy became a tool, not a burden, and here's the key insight. Jung would emphasize, mastery of empathic energy isn't about turning off your sensitivity. It's about creating a conscious relationship with it. Think of it like owning a wild horse. You don't cage it, but you don't let it run you over either. You learn to guide it, respect it, and harness its power, but here's the part nobody talks about. This mastery also involves discerning emotional resonance. True empaths often attract people whose energy is misaligned with theirs. Narcissists, emotional vampires, or those deeply stuck in their shadows. Without awareness, the empath's rare energy is siphoned off, leaving them weaker while others grow stronger. The ability to detect this early is critical. It's not paranoia. It's survival. Consider another metaphor. Your energy is a lighthouse. Before mastery, it shines in every direction, attracting every ship, good and bad. After mastery, the light is directed. You illuminate the vessels that deserve guidance and allow the others to navigate their own course. This is what Jung meant when he said integration is about conscious individuation, recognizing your role, setting boundaries, and claiming your power. But wait until you hear this. The process isn't linear. Even the most aware empaths will have moments of overwhelm. Energy will leak. Mistakes will happen. But each encounter, each challenge is an opportunity to refine your psychic discipline. The empath who persists through these challenges emerges not just intact but exponentially stronger, with a rare energy that radiates in ways most people cannot comprehend. And here's the hidden truth. The empath's rare energy is both a gift and a responsibility. It is a force that can heal, illuminate, and influence. But it also requires vigilance, discernment, and conscious stewardship. Jung's warning wasn't meant to instill fear. It was meant to guide empaths toward mastery so their rare energy wouldn't be wasted or exploited. So let me ask you directly, are you ready to see your energy not as a burden but as a rare, powerful force? Are you willing to take the steps needed to protect it, direct it, and honor it? Because in the next part, we'll explore the spiritual dimension of empathic energy, why it connects to ancestral memory, collective consciousness, and even Jung's ideas about the archetypal self. Understanding this will change how you view every interaction, every relationship, and every choice you make. Have you ever felt that your empathic energy isn't just about feeling emotions in the present, but somehow sensing echoes of the past? Jung believed that the psyche carries more than just personal memories. It holds the collective unconscious, an invisible thread connecting all human experience across time. For true empaths, this means your rare energy isn't only yours. It's a bridge, a channel through which ancestral pain, trauma, and wisdom can flow. But here's the part nobody talks about. This connection is both a gift and a curse. When you tap into ancestral energy, you can access profound insight, intuition, and healing potential. You can sense patterns that others cannot see, and you can feel truths before they are spoken. But at the same time, you can be haunted by unresolved shadows that aren't even your own. These energies can weigh heavily, leading to exhaustion, confusion, or emotional overwhelm. Wait until you hear this. Jung described archetypes as universal patterns, existing in myth, story, and collective behavior. True empaths, he implied, are particularly attuned to these archetypes. You might feel the sadness of a stranger as if it were your own, or intuit the fear hiding beneath someone's smile. That's because the archetypes, the warrior, the healer, the trickster, the shadow, are speaking through you. They shape your experiences, relationships, and even your dreams. Let's put this into a story. Imagine a man named Elias, an empath with rare energy. From a young age, he would awaken in the middle of the night with visions of events that hadn't happened yet, or felt deep sadness over places he had never visited. Initially, he thought he was crazy or overly sensitive. But over time, he began to notice patterns. The emotions he absorbed were not random. They connected to the struggles and stories of people long gone, echoes of history imprinted on the collective unconscious. And here's the part nobody talks about. Not every empath learns to navigate this. Many absorb these energies unconsciously, carrying the weight of unresolved generational trauma. They may experience depression, anxiety, or an unshakable feeling of being different or overwhelmed by the world. This is exactly what Jung warned about. The rare empathic energy can be dangerous if left unintegrated, but this next truth will shock you. The empath's rare energy can also act as a bridge to transformation. When you consciously work with these energies, you can release trauma, heal relationships, and even influence collective patterns. You can transmute pain into insight, fear into courage, and confusion into clarity. This is why some empaths become extraordinary healers, leaders, or visionaries. They are tapping into something older and wiser than themselves. Consider another example. A woman named Selene carried her family's emotional history without knowing it. She felt deep fear during moments of joy, sadness during moments of celebration, and anger when no one seemed to understand why. Over years, she learned that her emotions were not just hers. They were ancestral. Once she consciously engaged with these energies through journaling, meditation, and shadow work, she began to reclaim her energy. Her rare empathic gift became a source of profound insight, not burden. Wait until you hear this. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming whole, involves integrating both personal and collective shadows. For empaths, this integration is critical. You must recognize that the energies you carry, even those inherited from ancestors, are part of your psyche's journey. If ignored, they can control you. If understood, they empower you. But here's the part nobody talks about. Many empaths unconsciously fear their own power. They feel it, sense it, and absorb it, yet they doubt its legitimacy. They see it as too much or dangerous, failing to realize that this rare energy is precisely what allows them to navigate the world differently, to see truths, detect manipulation, and connect deeply with others. Let's use another metaphor. Imagine your empathic energy as a river fed by underground springs. The water flows from unseen depths, carrying nutrients, silt, and sometimes debris. If the river is dammed or mismanaged, it floods and causes destruction. But if guided wisely, it nourishes the land, creates life, and shapes the landscape. Your energy works the same way? With conscious awareness, it becomes a force of creation and healing rather than a source of depletion. Here's the next insight. The empath's interaction with the collective unconscious means that every person, encounter, and emotional event is layered with meaning. Your rare energy acts like a psychic sonar, detecting hidden currents. But this also explains why relationships with narcissists, manipulators, or chaotic individuals feel so intense. You are not just experiencing their personal energy, you are sensing the shadows they cannot acknowledge, and they unconsciously project onto you. And here's the hidden warning. Jung would emphasize, without conscious integration, empaths risk being consumed by these currents. You may feel burdened, invisible, or even possessed by forces you cannot see. But when you embrace your energy consciously, recognizing the ancestral and collective dimension, you gain access to an extraordinary tool for insight, empathy, and transformation. So let me ask you, are you beginning to see why your rare energy is so unique? Why it sometimes feels like both a blessing and a burden? And why Jung's hidden warning matters more than ever today, in a world filled with manipulation, chaos, and unacknowledged shadows? Because understanding this is not optional. It's essential for survival, mastery, and self-realization. In the next part, we'll explore how empaths can identify and release projected shadows in relationships, how to spot toxic energy before it drains them, and why Jung's strategies for shadow integration are crucial for anyone carrying this rare empathic energy. The truths you'll uncover may surprise you, and they may change the way you interact with the world forever. Have you ever felt that your empathic energy is more than just sensitivity, that it seems connected to something older, deeper, almost ancestral? Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of experiences, archetypes, and emotions that span generations. And the rare energy of true empaths taps directly into it, whether you realize it or not. But here's the part nobody talks about. Most empaths don't understand that the exhaustion, anxiety, or even mood swings they feel often come from these deeper layers, not just from daily interactions. You are sensing patterns, emotions, and shadows that exist far beyond your personal experience. Some of it may even be inherited, trauma, grief, and unresolved conflicts carried across generations. Your energy is like a psychic antenna, picking up vibrations from a world that most people cannot detect. Wait until you hear this. Jung believed that our ancestors' experiences leave imprints in the psyche. For empaths, these imprints are not passive. They actively interact with your energy field. Imagine a river flowing through mountains. The water carries silt, sediment, and nutrients from upstream. You are that river, and the currents you feel are the echoes of generations flowing into you. Some of it nourishes, some of it burdens, and some of it demands conscious attention to avoid causing harm to yourself. Let me give you an example. There was a woman named Amara, a highly sensitive empath who always felt emotions more intensely than others. She would become inexplicably sad during moments of joy, anxious for no apparent reason, or angry when situations didn't seem to justify it. At first, she blamed herself, thinking she was too emotional or unstable, but over time, she noticed patterns. These feelings often aligned with family histories she hadn't directly experienced, ancestral struggles, and cultural traumas that were never discussed. And here's the part nobody talks about. The empath doesn't just inherit these energies passively. You absorb them, process them, and even carry them forward in ways that affect your health, relationships, and sense of self. This is why empaths often feel both powerful and vulnerable. The rare energy you carry allows you to sense these currents. But without conscious management, they can overwhelm you. But here's the next truth that will shock you. This is also why empaths are rare. Not everyone can carry this energy. Most people shut down to it unconsciously, creating a buffer against the collective currents. Empaths, however, do not. They remain open, whether by choice or necessity. This openness is your gift, your unique frequency in the world, but it's also what makes you susceptible to manipulation, emotional overload, and psychic exhaustion. Let's explore another story. A man named Kale always felt like he was too much for the world. He absorbed others' anger, grief, and confusion with such intensity that he became ill frequently and often withdrew socially. After years of struggle, he learned that he was carrying ancestral patterns, cycles of trauma, and unprocessed emotions that had been transmitted through his family line. Once he became aware of this, he began rituals to release these energies, including meditation, shadow work, and conscious energetic clearing. Slowly, he realized that his rare empathic energy wasn't a curse. It was a tool to heal both himself and the collective. Wait until you hear this. Jung's insights suggest that empaths are, in a way, time travelers. Your rare energy allows you to perceive what came before, what lingers unseen in the collective, and sometimes even what is emerging in the future. But this gift comes with responsibility. You cannot absorb without discernment, you cannot heal without boundaries, and you cannot survive without consciously integrating both personal and ancestral shadows. Here's the part nobody talks about. This is why many empaths struggle with identity. When you carry energies that aren't entirely your own, you can feel fragmented, confused, or even not real. You might wonder, where do my feelings end and others begin? Jung would say this is the essential challenge for the empath, learning to differentiate self from collective, personal from inherited, present from ancestral. Without this differentiation, your rare energy can consume you. Consider this metaphor. Your empathic energy is like a lighthouse on a rocky shore. It shines into the darkness, guiding lost ships and illuminating hidden dangers. But it also attracts storms. Without conscious maintenance, the lighthouse can crumble under pressure, its light extinguished. The empath must learn to repair, reinforce, and protect their lighthouse, ensuring that it continues to shine without destruction. But wait until you hear this. Ancestral energy isn't just about burdens. It's also a source of profound power. When you integrate it consciously, you gain access to wisdom, intuition, and resilience that others cannot touch. You become a living archive of human experience, able to sense truth, detect deception, and guide others toward healing. Jung would argue that this is precisely why your rare energy is so vital, not just for you, but for the collective. Let's return to Amara. Once she recognized her ancestral connection, she began to use her energy intentionally. She developed daily practices to release absorbed emotions, protect herself from toxic projections, and consciously channel her sensitivity into creation and insight. Over time, her life transformed. She wasn't just surviving interactions anymore, she was navigating them with mastery. Her rare energy now a source of guidance, influence, and profound empathy. And here's the hidden truth. The empath's rare energy always has a dual nature. It can overwhelm, exhaust, and even harm if neglected. But it can also illuminate, heal, and transform if understood. Jung's warning is clear. The rare energy you carry is a responsibility. Ignoring it or mismanaging it risks physical, emotional, and psychic collapse. Embracing it, integrating it, and protecting it unlocks a power few ever experience. So I'll ask you directly, are you ready to face the ancestral currents flowing through you? Are you willing to take the steps necessary to differentiate your energy from what isn't yours, release the burdens of the past, and claim the rare empathic power Jung described? Because in the next part, we'll explore practical methods for clearing, protecting, and intentionally using this energy, turning what was once a vulnerability into one of your greatest strengths.